Previously on the Coastal Queen Restoration.
My name is Duke Bezzosi, and I'm the owner of New England Naval Timbers. We specialize in boat lumber, white oak boat lumber.
New England Naval Timbers has some of the biggest and longest trees available, which for us, the rare thing that we have to find is a long keel. And I can go to Duke's and buy a 65-foot log out of which we could get a 60-foot keel, and that's a rare thing.
It's the longest living tree other than those desert trees out there.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. The white oak can go like 500, 600 years.
Wow.
The boat had an auxiliary rudder on it. We decided to take it off in the fall before we hauled the boat. The previous owner put the rudder on to help make the boat track straight. The boat was prop walking or crabbing, and she would kind of slip through the water at a 6-7 degree angle.
That rudder itself was well beyond its useful life. It made the boat hard to maneuver in close quarters around the dock, so removing it can only benefit that aspect. In addition, it was a rusty mess. It was a lot of steel in an environment that shouldn't have steel.
There is a decay that's caused by electrical current called delignification. If you have stray current going from one metal object, like a keel boat, to another metal object, like a shaft strut, that can set up an electrical exchange which will eat the material between the cellular structure of the wood, known as lignum, and we call it delignification.
So we're up at the front of the pilot house here. We were chasing some rot all in this fascia piece here. We had to replace a couple of the deck beams that are coming through the pilot house. A lot of repairs to this area, this whole corner, and all of this plywood on the overhead here. Everything that we're dealing with here is freshwater leaks coming through cracks and getting behind or underneath plywood seams and never getting a chance to dry out properly and promoting rot.
There's really 5 reasons wood decays or becomes compromised in the marine environment, and one of them is sporadic decay, which is typically caused by fresh water that has the bacteria in it, trapped in a place where it can't dry out or drain. And then the wood and material around that can get infested with the bacteria.
This is another area we've done a lot of repairs in, repaired the plywood, cut it all out, did some deck beams, and the new half round that goes around the side. Another prime example of things that we're finding throughout the boat with rot. Fresh water up top. Down here could be a mix of water running down the deck and getting between the covering board and the deck and starting to rot here, especially at a seam.
Fresh water penetrating into any area that it potentially could get in, little chip, little crack. Without inspection on it, it could turn catastrophic. Well, I'm repairing the railings. As we go through the boat, we try to find out which ones we think are suspect to water damage and take them out accordingly. As you can see, I've taken this one out. This is what we've seen from the front, so it looks perfectly fine until we dig a little deeper. And this is what we come up with, a lot of water damage. So I replicated a new one. What we consider a Dutchman is cutting out the rot, try to leave as much of the old as possible. Take a piece of wood, preferably the same species, mill it to the size we need, glue it, clamp it, let it set overnight, come back the next day, sand it, fill it, do whatever we need. Try to get a coat of epoxy on it before it's installed, and then reinstalled.
I was on break, and all of a sudden I just heard lots of people yelling, and I ran outside and saw
I was all the way in the corner of this building when I heard people yelling, and it sounded like a fight between painters, like shouting at each other before they go at it.
We were out here on break, and all of a sudden I saw somebody over at Hinckley over there just running full speed at the boat.
One of our guys came running in, I don't remember who it was, but came in and said there was a fire, and he and another guy were grabbing fire extinguishers and running out.
I heard somebody yell fire, and I came down the stairs, and I followed somebody out with a fire extinguisher, and we went around the corner, and I looked at that boat, and I'm like, that isn't gonna do it.
Me, Charlie, and I think somebody else all ran out and started spraying, and right away we just knew it wasn't going to happen. There were people on the boat next to the one that was on fire, and they didn't even realize for a little bit that the boat was burning.
Van in the propane store.
Todd noticed that the heater was spraying in still, so he went in and disconnected the propane and just cut the power to it so that it wouldn't keep feeding air in. There was like propane bottles and gas tanks and everything exploding all over the inside. They started pushing everybody back away from the fire and so the fire trucks could get in.
I was worried about this place, yeah. Everybody was.
It's right next door. It's, you know, it was one boat away.
We were standing out front, and at that point we couldn't do anything. Our cars were trapped by the fire hoses, fire departments, and so we just were standing around watching, hoping that our livelihood wouldn't go up in flames.
There was at least 7 different towns that came to the aid of the Portsmouth Fire Department, who I guess were the primaries there, and 3 different fire boats. 3 towns came with their fire boats. 1, sometimes 2 of them were focused directly on our building, keeping it cool in the midst of everything else.
It was like when you see an accident, but the accident never, finished. So it was just like that gut-wrenching thing, and you just watch that and watch that. I watched that fire burn for about 4 hours, and it really wasn't until that sailboat leaned towards the travel lift and was going to fall over that way. If it fell into the shed, it would be all over.
If there was any southerly breeze that day, we would have lost our building, lost our shop, lost all the boats. It would have, because the fire was so close, it was 10 feet away.
There were 4 or 5 different communities of firefighters that came. The various fire brigades did an excellent job at protecting our tent, inside which is the Queen.
I think the fire was out like the next night completely, but they had fire trucks and hoses here up until like Monday or Tuesday.
It was about 4, 5, 6 hours of 1,000 things that needed to go right to not have our building catch fire and take the boats inside it with it, and they all went right. We're really grateful to all the fire companies that responded, whether they be on land or fire boats, and they're the reason that we were able to come in the next day and continue work on all our projects.